Hey guys. Oh, I forget about the mic. And I forget about the chat. Holy shit. So unprofessional. Where is the chat? Here we go. Isn't this too loud?
И залез вот прям в...
So let me check where we been stopped yesterday. Where am I? There is a theory that is the theory that there is a theory that the visible here we go, that was easy. So there is a theory that the visible universe or universe universe visible universe was created because of the Big Bang. There is a theory that the visible universe was created because of the Big Bang, and ever since I'm always do like this. I can just smoothly start. I need to adjust everything. And even since, according to the theory, the universe is constantly expanding or expand. Expand or expand. Universe.
Expanding. Expanding.
Expanding in all direction. Bodies move through the cosmos. Cosmic. Cosmos.
Cosmos.
Cosmos. It is like more Z sound.
Cosmos.
Cosmos. Through the cosmos at great speed. But if we would change our point of view and take into account the enormous distance involved in the process, it would seem to us that this expansion is happening very slowly and over an extremely long period of time. It is also a known fact that in vacuum space, at any given moment in time, elementary particles appear out of nowhere and disappear just as suddenly as they just give me 1 second to answer one question. So guys, universe similar. Okay, let's take place. It is also known fact that in vacuum space at any given moment in time, elementary particles appear out of nowhere and disappear just as suddenly as they appeared. Considering the relatively they appear. Considering the relativity of space and time, relativity. I just been checking it yesterday and I'm already forget like.
Relativity.
Relativity of space and time. We are able to consider relativity. TVT. Yeah, that's how I was trying to remember. There is like matchups in StarCraft world, like TVT, like Terran versus Terran. So relativity. Considering the relativity of space and time, we are able to consider each particle as a separate universe similar to our own. After all, we don't know anything about how elementary particles are being made. According to physics, elementary particles can sometimes appear as waves. Yurusuran. Hello. It is just early morning for you, right? It is probably 10. Oh no, it's probably 8 or 9 a.m. I just wake up like 1 hour and 30 minutes ago. I feel like I still have like not wide open eyes. So late? Yeah, actually it's true. I just killed all my schedule. That's what I wanted to say. I supposed to wake up like at 6:30 a.m. Instead of it, I wake up at 2 p.m. But this is more comfortable for me now. I enjoy it more. I just waked up, eat a little bit, like clear my face, teeth, and then just start to stream. Going to read for 2 hours probably, because after that amount of time my brain is not taking any information any longer. So then I will take a little break. During that break I'm going to like warm up my muscles to do some shit with weight and then start stream again. That sounds like a plan. And then I probably need to download yesterday's gameplay of us, take some shots out of there using the program like Premiere, and put somewhere in social. There is a lot of stuff to do. And also I need to find out the right frequency and numbers in timing with my memory. Because yesterday it was unstable. And then I loaded an XMP profile and it seems stable, but XMP profile isn't squeeze all the power of the memory. So it is better manually adjusting it. But this process is like a little bit taking more time than you wanted, or me, or any who else. You literally may spend like one day, full day, adjusting it, and it is still might be not stable. But the results costs all efforts if you will adjust it proper. Tell me, are you on work right now? Seems like you are not in home or not home. You're supposed to be not in home. Into the micro world, the relative distance becomes similar to those where according to physics elementary. This is like most annoying part in the book when it is compared to the physics, and in the future there is going to be much more interesting information. Because I've been listening these books, but I was listening it in Russian. I didn't find the good quality in English, like audiobook in good quality. So that's why I decided to read it myself. But not for YouTube, of course. According to physics, sorry, missed a lot of that, but I'm still at work. You're still at work. Okay. Okay. I didn't say anything like specific. I'm like half listening. Okay, then listen like the reading, because this is nice practice for me. I just told that I'm like wake up to go in like eat some food like and then start stream, and after that I'm just going to stop streaming, like lift some weight and then start stream again, but already with the game instead of the book. So this is a basic information which I've been told. And about the memory, like that I need to readjust all the timings again, because yesterday the memory was very unstable and like I got kicked from the game for so many times, and it is a little bit annoying when it comes to the streaming if the PC doesn't work the proper way. Well, hopefully fixed now. Now it is like an XMP profile. It's supposed to work very smooth, but you still like didn't open all the not opportunity, but all the potential of the memory. You like manually you might adjust it much better, so it will give more performance. But this process like take long time, so you might spend literally like one day adjusting it, and it still might be unstable. But the profits of that activity like completely benefits with the speed. If you adjust everything right, like manually adjusted memory, give you more profit. much more profit than it is just stock. You might check it in internet and you will see how it is actually works. In the game there is very low FPS, it's not going to fall so like to the numbers, to the little numbers. So you all the time going to be in the frame with a very high FPS. There is no like a very huge drop to the low FPS, and the difference between the low FPS and the maximum is huge. And if you adjust memory right, like this low FPS like move higher and higher. So in a very hard situation in the game, when your PC is not able to handle all this like stuff situation, like your low FPS going to be here but not there. That's how it works. And of course the maximum FPS is also like rising. In theory, in practice, you just move this by increasing the timing and frequency. You just move this stuff, like this is going to be higher FPS and this lower. It just make it work better. That's how it works. According to physics, elementary particles can sometimes 2 GB of brain for me. I didn't adjust anything and I'm okay. No man, you just might save your money. For example, like at the same price you're just getting free boost performance for your PC. Just check for some information on YouTube and you will see how much frequency and timing, especially timing on your memory will increase the performance in your PC build. Like there is huge difference, like literally huge. Check for it. I will annoy you until you check it. I will ask you like in Discord all the time, Iro, did you check the YouTube guide how to overlock your memory? Huge difference, I'm telling you. Do I have any tests on my screen? No, it is all the results with the positive numbers. Okay, let me show. If you're still here, I just will show you quickly how much this stuff is, oh my god, no, affecting. No, I need to show? No, I mean there is just simple numbers. There is nothing specific. There is just numbers. Where it is, like display capture. Here I go. Okay, and let me turn off this camera. Yeah, there is just numbers. For example, this number read when it is in stock. If my memory start on this motherboard in stock, this number is going to be like more than 2 times less, like 35,000, like 35,000 reading speed, and this is like also going to be 30 to 30. Like you double your performance by increasing the timings, like this one, and frequency. Like all the settings were adjusted manually using your hands. Like, and you literally like increase this number. For example, if you change the frequency and timings, it also might change. Like, see, like there is another screen where the reading speed of memory and writing speed and latency of it also decreased, but it is already adjusted. Like the frequency is 3080 and timing is still the same. We just increased in this case the frequency and reading and writing speed tremendously increased. It is also like affect all the games, all the decoding stuff when it comes to the memory. But in stock, I'm telling you, this number is 35,000 and this one 35. You maybe since you did that you are crushing rather than you maybe since you did that you are crushing rather than leaving it default. What? I just adjusted some timings wrong way. That's why it is unstable. And now I back to XMP profile, which also like provides me a lot. It is much better than stock. No, it just in my case I did a mistake somewhere when I've been overlooking. That's why it is important to take time. It might be work okay, and in game you will have some problems. It is because like you didn't check it with a specific program. There is like mem test program. You need to put it there and put extreme profile there, and it is just during the 1 hour it just testing your memory maximum. And in that build which I had yesterday, I got a few mistakes in my memory, so I'm already knew that I have some problems with memory, but I decided like to keep it. And as we see, the result was very obvious. I just got kicked from the game all the time. So I just that is the problem. You might overlook it, and like 59 minutes might be okay during the tests, and in the last minute it might show you one mistake. So and that's mean that your memory is not going to work properly. But it takes full hour to figure out will it work proper or not. That's but there is a lot of numbers when you like changing first timings, second and third. It is not just 3 timings. It is a list. If you want to get much more benefits, there is like basic timing like 70 70. You just don't see me. I'm just waving with my hands here. Holy fuck. It's there is like the basic timing like where it is. Like in my case 70 36. There is like a secondary and third types of timing. And every time you readjust it, you need to make a test and be sure if test done with no mistakes. If it done with no mistakes, your memory works proper way. So, but it is take time to figure out. But the benefits cost all the efforts. I'm telling you, like it's 100%. But you need like to spend all the day, like full day, to figure out it. Hopefully this boost will keep you from crashing. This one is supposed to be because the developers of the motherboard and the memory already have these settings integrated into the motherboard, so it is 100% working scheme. 100%, but it is not optimized 100%. It doesn't squeeze out full potential of your memory. It is just гарантированные частоты, guaranteed frequency, which 100% will work with no mistakes on the motherboard. It is just called XMP profile. You might have to, like in your motherboard settings, you might go to the отдел to the options with your memory, and you might see there like profiles, and you might choose XMP profile. It will already increase your performance. Выведет производительность оперативной памяти на новый уровень. Will take the performance of RAM to the next level, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I want to mess around with all that, I'm not very experienced with that. My turn PC. Do you want some? No, just okay. Let's do it very easily, like very easily. You just when you got home, go to the BIOS, like when you start PC, push Del. You probably know because I'm pretty sure you reinstall Windows and you needed to choose like a USB device there. No way, man. And you go to the like memory. There is like specific специальный отдел, separate specific department with memory settings, and there is like profiles. There is nothing you need to do anything more. Like check if you have some XMP profiles, choose one, and will already increase your performance. I swear to God, like it will not double, but probably like 30% more. Just choosing XMP profile in the BIOS. That's it. That's all you need to know. Just check for YouTube video, man. I'm telling you, it is nice. Okay. It seems hard, but actually it isn't. I'm wondering, where is my Paracel with CPU mount kit? Because I'm already tired to keep my PC on this position. It is so vulnerable. Shipping information. It is already in Russia, so probably very soon I will get it. This communication is hard for me yet. According to physics, elementary particles can sometimes appear as waves, sometimes as particles by moving further into the micro world. The relative distance becomes similar to those in outer space, and the passage of time for the inner observer slows down once again. To an external observer or observer? Observe. Observer. Our universe exists for one moment only, just like a particle that is born and extinguished into emptiness within a second. Whereas to us, the inner observers, our universe has existed for billions of years. I existed. Excited. When you are having your next sip of coffee, think about this. How many universes have you just swallowed? You have just swallowed an infinite number of universes because infinity cannot be divided into parts. It's as far and takes just as much time to fly into the micro world as it would if you were to fly to the endless expanses of outer space. Time, like space, is infinite. This goes for time that runs forward and for time that runs backwards. Fragments of time can be as infinitely tiny as they can be infinitely huge, or infinitely probably. It's all the time. problem where to put a stress in the words.
Infinitely.
Infinitely. Infinitely tiny, as they can be infinitely huge. Any point on a time fragment can be considered a point of origin, on both sides of which lies infinite time. Moving the points of origin along the fragment of time won't change anything that is ahead or behind that point. This infinity this time, right? Infinity.
Infinity.
Of worlds within worlds exist simultaneously. The center of the universe is located at any given point at any given moment, because the very same infinity surrounds each point from every possible side, and all possible events exist simultaneously for the very same reason the center of the universe is located at any given point. This is difficult to imagine, but then again, it is impossible to take one look at the universe and see it all. No matter how far you imagine yourself moving in the universe, the same infinite space will surround you. There are, of course, even more confusing theories about the structure of our universe, according to which our visible universe is transformed into a finite sphere in fundamental space. Four-dimensional. Четвертое измерение. Four-dimensional space. But this doesn't make things easier, because once again, there can be an infinite number of dimensions. Not being able to imagine all of this, we are forced to be satisfied with our own narrow points of view, pretending that we understand something. Overall, there are many incomprehensible and inconceivable things. Необъяснимых and inconceivable. Неощутимых, probably. Inconceivable things in modern science. Или необъяснимые. Неосмыслимые. Есть немного непонятного и неосмыслимые.
Incomprehensible. Inconceivable.
Немыслимые. Inconceivable. Things in modern science. But this doesn't stop us from using the fruits that science has reaped. Using the principle of transurfing, you will get astonishing results. Just let's agree that you won't be tormenting yourself with questions about exactly why and how transurfing works. It would be as if a child asked a physics why a body is drawn toward each other. The physics would answer. The physicist would answer, because of the law of gravity. But then the child would ask another question: why does the law of gravity exist? And then the physicist will kick the ass of that annoying body, and the kid will never ever ask stupid questions and become just normal man who will wake up every day. Okay, but how come physics body are drawn towards each other? There are no answers to these questions. So let's leave this fruitless task of trying to explain something, and let's just use the outcome of the model of variation. Use the outcome, результат. Variation. It is clearly beyond us to know and understand everything. Based on the model of variation, man creates his own destiny, and nonetheless, the idea of destiny in transurfing differs from the generally accepted view. So what is the difference then? The difference is that you can choose your own happiness without having to fight for it. Don't rush to either accepting or rejecting the model of variation and for all. What? Model of variation? Once and for all. Just ask yourself this question. Have you achieved much by fighting the world for your own happiness? Everyone has to decide for himself whether to continue acting in the same way or try to different approach. After all, you can spend your whole life fighting and struggling and get absolutely nowhere. Wouldn't it be easier if the world came to you on its own? After all it ever does is manifesting your choice. After all it ever does is manifesting your choices. Whatever order you will choose to place, it will always be delivered to you, no matter what. But making a choice is not the same as wishing something. It is something quite different, and you are about to discover what it is. Wishes are granted only in fairy tales. It is no coincidence. It is no coincidence there is a strong belief that fulfilling wishes is either extremely difficult or impossible. As of yet, what it mean as of yet? Таким образом, as of yet, we are only taking as of yet на данный момент, at this moment, пока что. As of it, we have only taken the first step toward the solution of the overseer's riddle. Soon you will find out why wishes are never granted and dreams never come true. Summary. Reality can be manifested in an infinite number of ways. The diversity of variation is the foremost and fundamental quality of our world. Diversity. Различие. Различные. Any world's model represents but a fraction of the multiple ways in which reality can appear. Any branch of knowledge is based on a chosen aspect of the manifested reality. Your choice is always made into reality. What you choose is what you get. The space of variation is an information field to what was, what is, or what will be. The information field contains potential variations for any event. A variation consists of a script and decorations. The space of variation can be divided into sectors, each of which contains its own variation. The larger the distance between sectors, the greater the difference in variation. Sectors with roughly similar parameters align themselves to form one specific life track. Align. Выстраивают. Примерно одинаковые параметры. Align выстраивать. One specific life track. Material realization moves in space like a dance mass. Waves of thought energy materialize potential variation. Each organism make its own contribution to the formation of material realization. When the parameters of thought or through energy change thought, when the parameter of thought energy change, an organism moves to another life track. Track, my god, how to remember? Track. You have a track. You can't track. You can't change the script of variation, but you are able to choose another one. Don't fight for happiness. You can simply choose a variation that you like. Chapter 2: Pendulums. Groups of people thinking in the same direction create information-based energy structure called pendulum. This structure will eventually begin to develop independently. Pendulum create their own laws. Okay, let's find out right away. Laws, probably. Laws, and make people obey them. What people don't realize is that they are unwillingly acting. Act or act? Acting. I prefer to say act.
Acting.
What? Acting. The boss variation sounds okay. Acting. In the interests of these pendulums, how do we get out of this suggestion that sticks to us like glue? Rent yourself out. Destructive pendulums. Ever since we were kids, we have been taught to submit ourselves to someone else's will, performing our duties, serving our countries, our families, the political party, the company we work in, the government, and even serving ideas. We have been taught to submit to everyone else's will as long as our own will had the lowest priority. Everybody has more or less a sense of obligation, responsibility, necessity, and guilt. Everybody in one way or another serves in various groups and organizations like one's family, society, I don't know. Society. Okay, like one's family, society, educational institutions, one's working place, one's political party, and the governments, and so on. All these structures are born and start to develop when a separate group of people start thinking and acting in the same way. Then new people join the organization group, and the structure grows, gaining strength, forcing its members to follow established rules until it reaches a point where the structure is able to subjugate large social groups to its will. On the level of material realization, energy structures consist of people united by common goals, and material objects such as buildings, constructions, furniture, equipment, technology, and so on. But what is the process that enables structure such as those mentioned above to be formed? A structure is created when thoughts of a group of people are focused in one direction, that the parameters of their thought energy become identical. Thought energy of or through thought energy of independent individuals merge into the flow. Погружена. Or внедрена. Внедрить. Так не сливаются. Merged. Сливаться. Внедрить, слиться.
Merges.
Merges. Merges. Сливаться. Thought energy. Thought energy is independent individuals merged.
Merges.
Energy independent individual merges into one flow. Hence, in the middle of the energy ocean, an independent information-based energy structure is created that is called the energy pendulum. This structure starts living its own life and makes those that took part in its creation obey to its laws. But why are these structures called pendulum? Because the higher and faster a pendulum swings, the more people adherents feed it with their energy. Every pendulum has its own characteristic frequency or vibration. For example, you can make the swings go high up in the air only by applying a force of certain frequency. That type of frequency is called resonance. Resonance. That type of frequency is called resonance. If the number of a pendulum adherents decrease, the pendulum swings will slow down and eventually its swinging motion will be extinguished. When there are no more adherents to swing the pendulum, it will stop and as an entity, it will stop and as entity, it will die. Like eventually entity. Остановится что умрет entity. Entity. As an entity. A things with distinct and independent existence. Church and empire were fused in a single entity. Objects like subject. Entity. It will stop and as an entity, it will die. Here are several examples of dead pendulums. Ancient pagan religions and ancient pagan religions. Religions, stone tools and ancient forms of weaponry. Old-fashioned trends and vinyl records. Vinyl records, yeah. Old-fashioned trends and vinyl records. In other words, everything that existed before and is no longer in use. Existed before and is no longer in use. Is no longer in use. Is no longer in use. Were before and is no longer in use. Existed before and is no longer in use. You are probably surprised. Can all these things really be pendulums? Yes, any structure whose particular features were features. It might be your feature. Feature. Whose particular feature were shaped by people thought energy is a pendulum. You could say that in general all living beings that are able to radiate energy in one direction will eventually form an energy pendulum. Here are examples of pendulums that exist in nature and wildlife. Colonies of bacteria, populations of living creatures, schools of fish, herds of animals, woodlands, prairies. I have no any idea what it is. Steppe. School of fish. Schools of fish. Стая, коськи. Schools of fish. Косяк рыб. Herds of animal, woodlands, prairies, steppe, ant colonies, and so on. Any structure consisting of living organisms that are of a relative... Okay, I'm already tired a little bit. And it took like 56 minutes, so my attention started to go down. To mess around with all that. Living creatures, schools, fish, herds, animals, woodlands, prairies, ants, colonies, and so on. Any structures considering of living organisms that are of a relatively homogeneous. Относительно гармоничные. Однородные.
Homogeneous.
And well-ordered nature can form pendulum. And since every living organisms... Okay, let me figure out. Probably I just say this word all the time wrong way.
Organism.
Like they ignore R sound as always in English. Like organism. Represent an energy unit. It can also be considered a pendulum. So when this pendulum units group together, seems like it is unites, like объединять, but units it is like units group together and start swinging in unison. They create a group pendulum. It stands over its adherents like a separate and independent superstructure. It will make up rules for its adherents in order to keep them together, but also to attract new ones. Such a structure itself governing in the sense that it develops independently, according to its own laws. I remember my thoughts that I'm going to read like probably 4 hours per day to become better doing this activity, but now I understand, like, I don't have source. My retention time is so little. That's probably why in the schools the breaks, the one lesson is lasts no longer than 45 minutes, because people just start lose attention, that's why. So I have the same. So when this pendulum units group together and start swinging in unison, they create a group pendulum. It stands over its adherents like a separate and independent superstructure. It will make up rules for its adherents in order to keep them together, but also to attract new ones. Such a structure is self-governing in the sense that it develops independently according to its own laws. Its adherents don't know that they are acting by the laws of pendulum and not of their free will. For example, a bureaucratic apparatus develops as a self-governing structure, independent of the will of its separate officials. Politiki. Influential officials could, of course, make certain independent decisions, but this decision cannot be in conflict with the laws of the system. Otherwise, such an advocate would be rejected. Otherwise, such an advocate.
Advocate. Advocate.
Advocate. Single person who is already a pendulum by himself isn't always aware of his own motivations. One example of such a person is the energy vampire. Any pendulum is destructive by its nature. This because it takes energy from its adherents and establishes power over them. The destructiveness of a pendulum is evident in the fact that it doesn't care about the fate of its individual adherents. The pendulum has only one goal: to maintain a constant flow energy from its individual adherents. And whether this will benefit or harm an individual adherent is of no concern to the pendulum, is of no concern. Oh my god. Broke my keyboard. Huh? Just did fix it again. Oh, there is a message, oh my god. Bovius, a word ending with "ate" can either be emphasized strongly, advocate. Ate, usually a verb, or through any without any emphasis, advocate. Usually, oh, thank you so much. I will keep this message like in my notepad. Thank you. Same word. Okay, but different meaning. Verb, noun. This is hard to remember all this stuff. I will try, but words ending with 8 can easily be emphasized strongly. Advocate. Usually a verb, like it is verb. What it mean like a verb? Okay, advocate. 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 Защищать. Отстаивать. Like to defend. Yeah, defend, advocate, assert. Thank you. Yeah. I never been considering the word like in two ways, like a verb and like as a noun. Like it is very hard to use for me. Like in my head there is no difference between noun and verb. I just use English as I hear it and never like think in my head, is it a verb or noun? So I might don't do this in my own language in Russia, so that's why probably. Usually a verb, or throw away without any emphasis, like advocate. Usually a noun. Okay. Same word but different, meaning. Okay, let's find out how to say verb or verb.
Verb.
Okay, that sentence I use both words with different pronunciation. Yeah, this is quite common in English. The suffixes, if you know what those are, can be pronounced differently to change the meaning. Verb, adjective, noun, etc. No, in my head there is like, I never separate words like a verb, adjective, noun. But I know what is the suffix mean, like in school it was like this symbol above the word. Thank you. Now I know like advocate is like defend, and advocate is like a noun, like a man who defend rights of the other peoples. Yeah, thank you. Now I definitely will remember this word until my last day. Okay. Any pendulum is destructive by its nature. This is because it takes energy. There was another word earlier in the paragraph that had the same H suffix. Okay, I will pay more attention now if I will see 8 in the word. So, if I see this, it means there is like two meanings might be in the word, right? All the words actually like have two meanings, but okay. Now I'm interested like to find any other words. Separate, for example, like separate. What it is like? Отделять, отдельные. Самостоятельный, разделять. It is separate, which is a verb. Separate, like a noun, and separate. It is like, oh, thank you. Adjective. Yeah, adjective, yes. Прилагательное, yeah. I got. If I want to use it as a verb, I supposed to make a stress on 8 sound, like separate. And if it is like an adjective, separate, like make it like fade at the end of the word, like separate. Perfect, thank you. Nice. Nice knowledge. Yeah. Thank you so much. Any pendulum is destructive by its nature. This is because it takes energy from its adherents and established power over them. The destructiveness of pendulum is evident in the fact that it doesn't care about the fate of its individual adherents. The pendulum has only one goal: to maintain a constant flow of energy from its individual adherents, and whether this will benefit or harm an individual adherent is of no concern to the pendulum. If a person is under the influence of a system, he has to live his life in accordance with the system's laws. Otherwise, the system will chew him up and spit him out. Being under the influence of a destructive pendulum can easily ruin one's life. To break free from the pendulum and not to break free from the pendulum and not suffer any losses as a result is usually a very difficult thing to do. If a person is lucky, he will find his own place in the system where he will feel like a fish in the water. Being an adherent, the person gives his energy to the pendulum, and the pendulum in return provides him with an environment where this person is able to live. But as soon as an adherent starts breaking the rule of a given structure, the frequency of this thought's energy is no longer in sync with the resonance frequency of the pendulum. The pendulum is no longer getting any energy from this adherent. This results in the pig-headed adherent. Pig-headed. Like, pig is an animal. Упрямый. Stubborn probably, yeah. Stubborn. With the head of pig.
Pig-headed.
Yeah, упрямый, okay. Stubborn. Obstinance. Pig-headed adherent being thrown out of the system or even destroyed. If a person is brought to a place that is far away from his most favorable tracks, then life in the structure of an alien pendulum turns into a living hell or simply into a depressing or boring existence. Such a pendulum is nothing but destructive to the adherent, and the person failing under its influence loses his freedom. He has to live by the laws forced upon him and serve as a cog in a huge machine, whether he likes it or not. Like a little detail. Yet a man can be under the patronage, I don't know this word, patronage of a pendulum and achieve outstanding result. Of pendulum, patronage. Покровительство. Protection. Favor. Не, protection. Покровитель.
Patronage.
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 The support given by a patron. The art could not longer depend on private patronage.
Patronage.
Patronage. Patronage. Yet a man can be under the patronage of a pendulum and achieve outstanding results. Napoleon Hill, Stalin, and other similar figures were all favorites of destructive pendulum. Of destructive pendulum. Nonetheless, the pendulum doesn't care about the welfare of its adherents. and it uses them solely for its own purposes. Solely. Solely, исключительно. For its own purposes. When Napoleon was asked if he had ever been truly happy, he was able to number only a few days out of his entire life. Pendulums are refined methods. Refined methods to attract new adherents that fly to them. Find. Like to create methods, new methods, refined. Or reconsider, just use.
Refined.
Изощренный, изысканный. Pendulum use refined methods to attract new adherents that fly to them, like moth to a flame. Okay, мотылек. How often do people seduced by a pendulum advertising tricks wander away from their happiness that was all the time right in front of them? People join the army and perish there. People enroll in educational institutions and in vain master professions that are not really theirs. People find jobs that feel alien, but that are supposedly prestigious. Supposedly prestigious, supposedly.
Supposedly.
They are all very I'm like through thought, thorough, like I can't remember how thought tough. These are all very tough words. You are doing so well. Okay. Like literally like through, tough, thought, throughout because it is out there. Oh yeah. Oh no way, man. All the time I'm just watching them and I'm just guessing if I see the next word and it is okay, like thought or through, every time like thought and through, all the time I have a problem. I'm just guessing it, and if I continue read and understand there is some different meanings like in a line, then I understand probably that was different. Tough, throw, I don't even know this one. Trop. No way, there is so many. I need to learn. No way, man. I don't even know. Like, первое, and the first one is thought. They're very same. Yeah. You just need to learn it. I don't understand how to see the difference in these symbols. Души, эти слова разные смыслы, представь, как англичане. Ninja, hello! That's for so long. Yeah, души. И души. Души, like when you like using a in a bathroom, like a douche, like it is a soul, and dushy like a like put arms around the neck. Yeah, it's very hard for them to, but it is depends on the contests in the settings. Yeah, but they also have a lot of words which we are suffering. Like for example, the Bovies show us an example, and like I'm pretty sure there is like many more. Hello. Oh, that was for so long. Actually, I did install the Battlefield 2042, so at evening we are going to play Battlefield. You might join the party if you have. These are very tough words. You are doing so well. Thank you. Will try my best. Oh my god. Where we have been stopped. People enroll. Okay, one day away from their happiness that was all the time right in front of them. Let me take a little break, like to drink some tea. I feel so dry in my mouth. No way, man. Give me 1 second, I will tell that I have a stream right now. Ну я завтра это приеду. Давай тогда, все. Да у меня есть, я с собой вожу, я даже и не выкладывал. Все, я понял. Давай тогда до завтра. I'm going to wait for some cheap price for this shit. Listen, but let's be realistic, it is like not going to be less price in the next 3 months probably. Even on the new year, I'm pretty sure there is not going to be any discounts for the Battlefield. You guys just relaxed me a little bit. I was so intensive paying attention to this book, so I'm already had a blur in my eyes. I'm pretty sure they are not. They are not going to decrease the price. It's because the game is just so new. Or probably on the different platform, not like in Origin, just different sizes. Because the game was in a bundle with RTX cards. People got promo codes, so that's how you might get it for much cheaper price. People might not activate the game, but got it. And they just activated it and have it as a gift in Steam account. And so probably you might pay them for less price and they will give you the copy of the game. That might be a scheme. So people join the army and perish there. People enroll in educational institution and in vain. I'm just wondering why you already like know English. Why don't you use like English words instead of it? You just type it in Russia. You just more easily to use like Russian keyboards. Because you are listening a lot of English, I'm pretty sure. So you might understand like 100% of information you can hear. That was all the time right in front of them. People join the army and perish there. People enroll the educational institutions and in vain master professions that are not really theirs. People find jobs that feel alien, but that are supposedly prestigious. They work and find themselves swamped with problem. They bring strangers into their lives and end up suffering. They bring strangers into their life and end up suffering. So a pendulum's activity very often leads to the destructions of destinies of its individual adherents, although the pendulum is trying to hide its true motives. Its true motives. Motives. Pretending to be virtuous and good-hearted. Pretending to be virtuous and good-hearted. Two new words.
Virtuous.
Virtuous. And
Good-hearted.
good-hearted. Virtuous.
Virtuous.
Heart. I didn't recognize this word, like integrate it to this one, like good-hearted. Добродушный.
Good-hearted.
Добросердечный.
Good-hearted.
Hearted. You just, heart. Thank you. Oh, I feel like you're a teacher. I feel myself like a kid. I feel like literally like a kid now in the school. When I started to read, like I didn't feel this feeling inside, and now, oh my god.
Virtuous. Good-hearted.
Heart. Virtuous and good-hearted. The most dangerous things for a person who has fallen under the influence of a destructive pendulum is the fact that the pendulum takes its victim away from those life tracks where he would find true happiness. Let's outline the defining characteristics of a pendulum. Определяющие. Let's outline the defining. I'm pretty sure it is defining. I'm giving you an A. Don't worry. Okay, it is like a mark as the best one. Обрисуем. Outline. Defining characteristics of pendulum. A pendulum feeds on the energy of its adherents and thereby amplifies its swinging. A pendulum tries to attract as many supporters as possible. It's 100%. Holy shit. Feels good. Pendulum tries to attract as many supporters as possible so that it can receive as much energy as possible. A pendulum sets its group of adherents against all other groups. Look at us, we are better than they are. A pendulum is aggressive in blaming all those that don't want to become its adherents, and it tries to win them over, neutralize them, or remove them altogether. A pendulum puts on good-looking and attractive masks. It covers itself up with noble aims. Pendulum is pendulum is Ben Sever. What? What? You mean greater than be greatest, like bigger, then bends over. Drum and bass. Drum and bass. Drum and bass. Greatest, best. There is two tutors now here. Okay. Drum and bass, D&B, bands ever. Okay, now I get it. I don't listen music. Sorry for my Angliski. But by the way, I didn't knew like D and B, like that drum and bass. Yeah. Group ever. I just know the phrase like pendulum swings from the enemy's songs. Yeah, that's like he called English this way. Oh my god, guys. Oh. Oh, that was dangerous. Yeah, русские. Фу. My god. Yeah, сука, блять, момент. Epic moment, that was epic. A pendulum puts on a good looking and attractive mask. Сука, блять. Yeah. Сука, блять. Сука, блять. Oh my god. My cheeks. My cheeks are tired already to smile. A pendulum puts on good looking and attractive okay, let's find out how to say masks or masks. Mask.
Masks.
No, mask, like Elon Musk. Good looking and attractive masks. It covers itself up. Lots of these words depend if you are British or American. That's nice. American would say masks. British would say mask. Oh, so I just might pretend like I were born in American and then travel and start living in the British. So, and if it will like swing, I may change change my pronunciation depend on mood, or like pretending that I'm doing that. Pendulum puts in attractive masks. For me, it is much more comfortable to say masks, mask, attractive mask. British say mask, like a pendulum swing. Put on good looking and attractive masks. It covers itself up with a noble aims and plays on people's emotions in order to justify its own actions and win over as many adherents as possible. One could say that a pendulum. Is it okay if I'm using G sound like there instead? Because pendulum seems more comfortable, like pendulum. Pendulum, yep. Nice.
Pendulum.
Julum, it is. Julum. One could say that a pendulum is an egregor. I have never seen that word before. Seriously? You mean pendulum and all this one? Egregor.
Advocate
Egregor. So make no sense to learn it, because if you don't know it, so I don't even know what it means in Russian, to be honest. Like, because it is the same. Like
Egregor.
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 I don't. Let's just put this into the Google and see the picture what it is. No way. Концепция в оккультизме. Означающая не физическую... No man, I will never ever use this word in my life. And make no sense even to try to learn it. By nature, but that is a rather narrow definition, of course. The concept of egregor.
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 Oh my god. What contemporary the concept has referred to a physic manifestation or through form occurring when any groups share a common motivation be made up of influence. There is a definition. The thoughts of the group, the symbolic relationship between an egregor and its group. I thought you would like trying to read the definition. Group, the symbolic relationship between an egregor and its group has been compared to the more recent non-occult conceptions of the cooperation as a juridical person or legal. For me it is like blah 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 blah. Done. By nature, but that is rather narrow definition, of course. The concept of an egregor, by the way, does not reflect the entire spectrum of possible interaction between man and energy-based information structures. Pendulums. Pendulums play a much greater role in people's life than it is customary to believe. Принято. I know what it means. No, custom.
Customary.
Customary to believe here. Whew. When I've been laughing like I sweated. It is comfortable not to believe. It is possible to illustrate how a pendulum consumes energy from its adherents by using the following example. Imagine, probably example is the same, right? Like example. Probably also depends in which part of the world you live. Example. Yeah, that's why I probably have all the time fight in my head when I see this word. Brits would say example. So I'm happy British one. Example. It's also like imagine, or imagine. Or it is just I have been created this in my head. Imagine. A full stadium where a dramatic game of soccer. Soccer, it is like a man who like different activities, but it's probably soccer. Yeah. Soccer is taking place. Yeah, soccer, that's the first thought I had, like soccer is taking place. Things are getting tense. Fans or fans? Fans are raging. Fans, like fantasize. Fans, it is like something that is spinning.
Fans.
Fan have two meanings. Fun and I'm going to Forza 5. Good luck, friends. Okay. Have fun there. Like, actually, Forza looks amazing. I also want to try it. 2 minutes. Like, blow up. Fun. Fun it is some... what ventilator? Something that is like, make your CPU more cold, you know, cooler. Cooler. It is the fun, right? Ah. Yeah, it is the same. Fun. Funs. So many nuances. Fun ventilator, fun веселье. Guys, there's so many of you sitting. I didn't expect like if somebody would like spend the time like watching how other man is trying to learn English. I just doing this activity because if I were alone sitting this in this room without the stream, I probably would already skip this book like, I don't know, 1 hour ago. I maximum may spend like 15 minutes reading by myself. And like the stream is like forcing me to do this. But I'm enjoying this activity. But I didn't expect like somebody will join. Oh my god. This еще не выучил. Green, but you weren't active in my channel probably, that's why I didn't remember the name. Sorry with Green Vesnaston. Green Vesnaston. I'm sorry for my bad memory. Я был просто не учил его. Он сам выучился. But I didn't have this experience with the communication with the people who already know it. But now I'm going to start this activity. Yeah, but it is also somebody who really likes some things. Ah, okay, fans. Давай, пора. А, давно пора? Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't have time. Okay, do it quickly. Yeah, yesterday I actually had my first time in 2 years, probably the period of like I was having a conversation with real men like 2 years ago, probably. That was Yuru Suran. And yesterday, if you would check like the latest, the previous stream, you will see I was trying to communicate with Yuru while playing the game. But now, like, I see my progression is leveled up a little bit, because the previous time, like 2 years ago, when I had conversation with him during the game, I had more problems with communications. I were pretending if I understood him, because I was some kind of shy to re-ask the question, like ask him to repeat it again and again. So I was some kind of pretending that I did understand it, and now it feels more comfortable. Nice comparing. Yeah, see, now I'm doing it. Listen, I'm already like learning English today for 1 hour and 43 minutes. Like, now I'm going to be more active. Just joking. It's okay. I completely understand it. Yeah. I understand it. I hope like during next 6 months I will increase my level, like or bring it to another level. That's what am I going to do like daily now. Every day I'm going to read for 2 hours, probably sometimes more, then take a pause and then make another content like gaming, and then take a pause and probably yeah. This is going to be my feature. По-русски. Probably. Why they say like a pro? They didn't say like a pro. Еще спроси. What's your problem? What's your problem? I mean, do you have some problems here? I can fix it. When you are dead, you have no problem. Give me your volley. Volley. Your problem. Your wallet? Yeah, like the place where you keep your money. It is like a tool where you keep your money. No? Wallet? 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 Yeah. I probably don't know how to pronounce it because I've never been using it.
Wallet.
Wallet.
Wallet. Wallet.
To be honest, like wallet sounds as a name of a person. Like, for example, Jim Wallet.
Wallet.
20 bucks in my pocket. Yeah.
Wallet.
Probably. I will check it right now. Pocket. Pocket. Probably. Probably.
Probably. Probably. Probably.
There is O sound like
Probably.
probably. Give you a fuck how to pronounce. Ah, you don't give a fuck how to pronounce it. English my first language and I have issue. Guys. Puppy. My god, you have so long nickname. Puppy Pound Gaming. And you even have problems. So now I feel much better, guys. If you as a native speakers who have some problems there, so I have my rights to be bad at it. Test your learning. Read this sentence. Can you please elaborate on this elaborate plan of yours? Test your learning. Read this sentence. Can you please elaborate? Ah, you. There is 8. There is 8 there. You just been teaching me elaborate and yeah, I got it. Guys, stop. Don't type. I'm not that professional yet to read so many messages. Test your learning. Read the sentence. Can you please elaborate on this elaborate plan of yours? Holy shit. Так, у меня по-русски был хуже, чем по-английски в школе, ну и шараги. You just say pop. Elaborate. We have the most messed up language. Elaborate and elaborate. If I knew what the elaborate mean as a verb or what it is, like elaborate, it is when you are together, like there is like 2 teams, they elaborate together. But what another meanings for this word I can't imagine. Let's collaborate. Stop! Разрабатывать, like be in the process of creating something like complex. What? Complex, complicated, and develop. Holy shit. Okay, need leave this channel. See you later. Okay, have fun with your Forza, and not forget to join back when we play Battlefield sometimes. Okay, I will stop typing. No, it's okay. You just guys like do so many activities. My channel mostly like never have these activities. Sally sells seashells in the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. No, that's collaborate, okay? Elaborate, прочитай без R в конце, просто elaborate. Complicated. Все, ливаю. Давай. Complicated. Obvious. Oh, thank you so much for follow. Puppy Pound Gaming, thank you. Oh, guys, that's fun. I didn't expect like the reading might be so fun. Elaborate, collaborate, complicate, complex, sophisticated, compound, indicate, elaborate, 8. Phew. It is possible to illustrate how a pendulum consumes energy from its adherents by using the following example. Imagine a full stadium where a dramatic game of soccer is taking place. Things are getting tense. Fans are raging. Suddenly, one player makes an unforgivable mistakes, and because of that, his team loses the game. A storm of anger descends from the fans upon the player. They are ready to tear him apart. Can you imagine what a huge mass of energy lands on the head of this unfortunate player? Tear or tear? Like tear, like some kind of liquid which go out of your eye. Tear or tear. T, two different meanings and pronunciation. Tear or tear? Tear. I didn't get what you mean, like tear or tear? It is even you type the same. Tear. What in my case it is?
Tear.
Ah, what I'm telling tear is like a liquid out of the eyes, like tear apart, tear.
Tear.
Oh my god, I'm all the time we're thinking like the tear apart, it is a tear apart. Like I know what it means, like when you like have a one flat something, for example, it is a paper and you like tear it apart, but I would say tear it apart. Tear. Crying a tear. Yeah, thank you. Tear apart. Yeah, not I need to forget like tear apart. By the way, the tear apart also seems like I have a right to exist. Like tear apart is like when you cry so much, like, and the steam of your like liquid is so huge it might cut you a half, like apart. Like you're crying so hard, like tear apart. No, it doesn't work this way. Reaping, tear. Okay, now you are making shit up to defend your bad pronunciation. Okay. Tear. Okay. Tear.
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 Tear. Yeah. Making shit up. Nice phrase. I definitely will use it in a game when somebody will try to defend their bad score, like making shit up. To defend your bad score in the game. Tear.
Tear.
Ter. And why, guys, don't you pronounce R sound mostly in the end of the word? Why then you type it?
Tear.
Ter. A storm of anger descends from the fans upon the player. They are ready to tear him apart. Tear him apart. Tear him apart. Can you imagine what a huge mass of energy lands on the head of this unfortunate player? You would think that having suffered such a monstrous blow, he would die right there on the spot, but that doesn't happen. Instead, he is alive and healthy. What sound? R sound, like R. Like this symbol you mostly do not pronounce. But in the word like hair, you pronounce it like tear apart. Tear. All the time. Okay, it's okay if I'm sometimes pronounce R sound, like it is not a mistake, right? Yeah, but it's up to you. Nice. I have a choice.
Tear.
Change the woman to American. Woman. I don't know American, like problem. Woman. Isn't there an options? Woman. I don't see any variation. I just may change the stress of it. Change the woman. Okay, it is up to you, Bridge. Change the woman to American. Isn't there an options? Oh my god. I hope you didn't get a ban. Holy shit, and it just did remove 79 messages of you. Oh my god, I need to readjust the bot. Oh, no way. There was a message which I wanted to use. Hey. Now I need to rewatch my stream and take that. Gone forever. No. I will readjust the bot and do not let him hair. If you Google pronounce hair, it lets you switch between British and American. Hair. Well, for me, it's like just okay to know the meanings of the word, like in this stage, at this level where am I right now. It lets you switch between British and American, so you can hear the different R sound. Break, coffee break, bra. I know they have difference, like in A sound, like some of them use O, some A, like they making more O sound, like British one. Hair. Some of the letters I just physically can't pronounce because I didn't train my lips and my mouth to pronounce those words. Right now I can't find those words in my head, but there is a ton of them probably which I suffering to pronounce. Yeah, I remember I was trying in Google all the time saying woman and women, like when it is one girl or it is like the group of women, and like let me check, will it recognize what I mean? Women, yes, woman, women. Now it is like absolutely different. Women. Oh, now it's work. Women. Women. Woman, women. The more I'm trying to say it, like, the less sense the words start having. Do you know this feature, like, if you repeat one word like a lot of time, for example, woman, 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 it, like, in a few seconds you will start, like, lose the sense of this word, and it's going to seem pointless. And women, woman. Okay. Can you imagine what a huge mass of negative energy lands on the head of this unfortunate player? Cinematic situation. Semantic.
Semantic.
That's the effect you described.
Semantic.
Okay. Relating to meaning in language or logic. Сантематичный.
Semantic.
Okay. You're thinking that having suffered such a monstrous blow, he would die right there on the spot, but that doesn't happen. Instead, he's alive and healthy, although somewhat crushed by feelings of guilt. Then, where did all the negative energy go? Well, the pendulum harvested it. If it had not done so, the person at whom the crowd aimed its anger would have died, while the glorified star would have filled up to the sky. Flight to the sky. Seems like a rap. If the glorified star would have flight up to the sky. Прославленная, glorified.
Glorified.
Жарко. It is so hot in this room now. I won't be judge of whether the pendulum is an animated being or simply an energy form. Animated. Whatever the case, it is of no importance to the transurfing method. The important thing is to be able to recognize a pendulum and to avoid participating in its game, unless there is something you can gain from such an interaction. It is very easy to recognize a destructive pendulum as it has one defining features. It is always competing with other energy structures just like itself, fighting for control over people. A pendulum has only one goal: to capture as many adherents as possible in order to get as much energy as possible. The more aggressive a pendulum acts in its fight for adherence, the more destructive it is, meaning that it poses a threat to the fate of an individual person. Someone might object that there are, after all, charitable organization, like charitable organization. Oh my god, object, noun and verb. Oh god, seriously? What? Subject, object, возражать и объект. Mind, object, it is a verb. Object, it is like Yeah, facility, subject, objective, entity, and like object, protest, contradict, return. Think of courtroom, objection. I have my objection. Возражение, objection. I feel like a memory in my brain right now. The capacity is fulfilled, like completely. Objection, your honor. Objection, your honor. Yeah, I get it. Like protests, like yeah, protest. Honor has a silent. My honor. Man. Ловушка. How? There is so many traps in English words. Like it's definitely you just read one sentence to fix your mistakes, and you just gaining it even more, like getting more and more of them. Holy my god. Silent ash, my honor. There are many traps, but you will start to learn them and you will feel proud. Let's describe object. The structure, the building, is an object, and if you object something, like you are like protesting. Thank you. I never been considering this word as a protesting, like object, something like object. Object. Object to your use of that object. Okay, I'm object to your use of that object. I am pretty sure I did it well. I'm object to your use of that object. Nice. Yeah. And my brain like has like very little tiny hands, like, and the muscle is not like not going up, but it is like negative, you know, like, and like the brain muscle is negative. Some might object that there are. Some might object that they are. After all, charitable organization, scientists for nature preservation. I'm already afraid to continue reading because they might be another traps. Animals welfare organization and others. What is so destructive about them? The fact is that they, no matter how you see it, feed on your energy and do not care about somebody else's happiness or welfare, and this is destructive for you personally. They ask you to be merciful, like show mercy, probably merciful.
Merciful.
Yeah.
Merciful
to others while they remain indifferent to your welfare. If this is okay with you and you feel truly happy doing charity work, then this might be your calling. And you have found your pendulum. But please be honest with yourself. Perhaps you are just wearing the mask of a charitable giver. Are you actually giving your energy and money away from the welfare of others and doing it with all your heart? Or are you just putting on a charity show so that you will seem like a better person? Destructive pendulums have taught people not to choose their own destiny. After all, if a person was truly free in his choice, he would be independent, then he wouldn't be attracted to a pendulum and wouldn't become one of their adherents. Our mind is so used to the idea that our fate is our lot in life. Our mind is so used to the idea that our fate is our lot in life. Makes no sense like with this like collocation, lot in life. This one is okay. A lot in life. The mind gets used to the idea of our fate is our lot in life. Участь. Наша участь is our lot in life. I don't know how to memorize this one. Our lot in life. Making it very hard for us to believe that it is possible. Lot in life is an expression, meaning our destiny. Yeah, I got it like from the Russian sense, like it is наша участь в жизни, it says. Lot in life. Expression meaning the destiny, lot in life. Yeah, thank you. Lot in life. The only way to remember it, like to repeat it like 1 billion times, it is uncommon, don't worry. Yeah, because I don't remember myself saying this kind of phrase in my own language when I have conversation with the people. Probably I just don't have these smart conversations like about the destinies and choosing the one. Lot in life, destiny. This is how it might work if I just will repeat it and repeat. Test your learning. Read this sentence. If you use that subject to separate us, I will separately subject you to its continued use score. Score 6. Subject and subject. Okay, again, 5 out of 6. But I got meaning. Separately was not quite right. That's better. Separately. Let me just hear it.
Separately.
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 Separately. Separately. Okay, test your learning. Read the sentence. If you use that subject to separate us, I will separately subject you to its continued use. Continued. By the way, now I can see the difference. I see the difference. Without your help, I definitely will never pay attention, or not very soon, like pay attention about the secondary meaning of this word. Oh, this is nice. Continued. Continued. Idea that your fate is our lot in life, is our destiny, making it very hard for us to believe that it is possible to choose the fate that we would like to have. It is very advantageous for pendulum to keep their adherents under control. Therefore, they come up with all sorts of ways to manipulate their adherents. The following passages give clear example of how this is done. Passages. Like examples or passages? Ой. Отрывки. Passages.
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 Pass.
Passages.
The following passages give clear examples of how this is done. If you make a cult movement or a school out of transurfing, it could also become a pendulum. Different pendulums vary, of course, in their degree of destructiveness. Transurfing, even in a worst case scenario, would be much less destructive than its counterparts would. This is because it does not serve some external and general goal, but rather it exists exclusively. 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 For the good or every single individual. Therefore, such a pendulum would be very unusual. Kind of like an individual. Yeah, there is like literally huge amount of the words which I don't even know how to pronounce.
Individualist.
Yeah, you got it.
Individualist. Individualist.
Like D sound instead of D, like G again. Individualist. Society with people who are busy, focusing exclusively on their own individual destinies. D followed by D followed by U often combines into this G sound. G. Okay. Depending on accent country.
Exclusively.
Like U often combines into the G. I wish to pay more attention about it in the following words. Given just little break, I need to go number one. I barely can keep it like inside. My bladder is going to blow up soon. 1 minute. Oh, deduce. Most would say deduce. Deduce, but very classy or classy people would say deduce with a very precise D sound. Deduce. Deduce. Deduce, deduce. Like
Deduce. Deduce.
deduce.
Deduce.
Most people would say deduce.
Deduce.
Yeah, it is like the translator is saying the same way, like deduce.
Deduce. Deduce.
Deduce. But very classy people, or classy or closey, who it is? Closey people. I know clumsy. Classy.
Classy.
Ah. Upper class, rich, wealthy.
Classy.
People would say deduce. Deduce. Deduce with a very precise deduce. Deduce? No G. Deduce. 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 Выводить. Делать вывод. Deduce. I'm not like wealthy upper class. But if I want show people if I like upper class, I may say deduce. 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 Arrived at. Conclude. Deduce. Okay. And Americans say dados. The door? No way. I can't even say dados. Dadus. Dadus. Okay. Dadus. Okay, for me, as I see it, deduce. Deduce. Yeah, I'm going to be as most of the people like pronouncing this word. Actually, I never been using this word like previously. Yeah. Conclude. Deduce, conclude. Oh, cult. Cult, 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 killed. A cult.
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 If you make a cult.
Cult.
But I've been thinking this cult. Cult. Like cunning creature. Cunning. Cult.
Cult.
If you make a cult movement in a school out of transurfing, it could also become a pendulum. Different pendulums vary. This also like vary or vary. Vary probably.
Vary.
Vary. Of course, in their degree of destructiveness. Transurfing, even in the worst case, this again, scenario.
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 Scenario would be much less destructive than its counterpart would. This is because it does not serve some external and general goal, but rather it exists exclusively. Again, this word exclusively. Exclusive for the good of every single individual. Therefore, such a pendulum would be very unusual, kind of like an individualist. Kind of like an individualist. Society with people who are busy focusing exclusively. I want to change S sound to Z one. Isn't this like a proper way? Exclusively. On their own individual destinies. By the way, here is a homework assignment for you. What pendulum could be called constructive? The S become more of this sound near the end of the word. Tell me, are you a teacher like in the university or in the school? Because you are so smart. Like in my own language, I can describe why it is so and why it is so. I just know how to use my language, and like mostly I can't explain why you're supposed to do this. S becomes Z. More Z sound near to the end of what? Well, I'm not an idiot. Okay. Maybe I am. Yeah, someone was saying like, the more I know, then more I understand that I know less, or something like that. It is more like if it is verb, it is more often a Z sound. If it is noun or adjective, it is more often S sound. It's probably not that hard to remember when you literally know all this pattern, like if it is verb, adjective or something. Without your help, I would never pay attention. Exclusive and adjective. Use zero, exclusive. Use an as a noun. I will write it down after. Let me check different meanings about this exclusive. Is it also like have different meanings when it comes исключительно, эксклюзивно, не считая? After publish or broadcast by only one source, exclusive. Exclusive. As a Z verb. There is no verb in this word. In my case, exclusive. Whew. I'm doing this because, but why on earth? Where we go? By the way, here is homework assigned for you. What pendulum could be called assignment? For you, what pendulum could be called constructive? But why on earth am I telling you all of this? I'm doing this because I have to explain to you what it means to choose your fate and how to actually do that. Have patience. Patient. Dear reader, some of the things we have been talking about are not that easy to get your head around. But gradually, a clear picture will emerge. Gradually, emerge.
Emerge.
Emerge. The battle of the pendulum. The main defining feature of a destructive pendulum is that it aggressively seeks to destroy other pendulums so that it can drag people over to its side. To accomplish this, the pendulum will always try to set its adherents against adherents of other pendulums. We are good while they are not like us. They are bad people who are drawn into this battle, lose their way and start following false girl, ложный, false, which they mistakenly believe to be their own. This is how the destructiveness of pendulum becomes apparent. Fighting other adherents is fruitless and ruins lives, those of people you fight and your own. Let's take an extreme example of the battle for adherents war. In order to convince its own adherents to go to war, the pendulum will put forward arguments that correspond to the specific historical era. The most primitive method often used in history was to simply order people to get back what was rightfully get back what was rightfully there by force. As societies became more civilized, arguments acquired forms that were more refined. As societies become more civilized, arguments acquired forms that were more refined. Изощрённые. I'm checking for this word already 2 times during the stream. Refined. One nation declares itself the most progressive and developed, while others are declared to be backwards. A noble aim is then to bring these undeveloped people to a higher level, and if they object, apply force. And modern conceptions of war appears to go along the following lines. A beehive hangs on a tree in the forest. Wild bees live there, producing honey. Produce honey. Produce honey and raising their youngs. But then a pendulum approaches the hive and announces to its own adherents that there are wild bees. They are very dangerous and therefore they must be destroyed, or at least we have to destroy their hive. You don't believe me? Just watch. The pendulum pokes around inside the hive with a stick. The bees flies out and starts stinging the pendulum's adherents, and the pendulums triumphantly exclaims, "See, I told you so. Look how aggressive they are. They have to be destroyed." It does not matter what kind of slogans are used to justify wars and revolutions. Their purpose is always the same: to serve in the battle of pendulum for adherence. The battle can take on different forms, but their sole goal is basically to get as many adherents as possible. New energy is a vital necessity for the pendulum. Without it, the pendulum will stop and thus cease to exist as an entity. Yes, thus cease to exist as an entity. Therefore, the battle of the pendulum is a natural and unavoidable battle for their existence. Right after wars and revolutions follow other forms of battle that may be less aggressive but which are served nonetheless. Examples of such battle are the struggle for market dominations, the not severe, жестокий, like tough, ruthless, severe. Thank you. Battles that may be less aggressive but which is severe nonetheless. Example of such battle are the struggle for market domination, rivalry, like it is enemies, like means enemies, contests, but how pronounce
rivalry,
rivalry, rival. I broke my tongue. Rivalry. On such battle, struggle for market domination, the rivalry of political parties, economics competition, all possible forms of marketing, advertising campaigns, who are they? Campaigns. I completely ignored G sound this time. Campaigns. Рекламный advertising campaign. Advertising. And ignoring R sound again, like advertising campaigns. Advertising campaigns. Ideological propaganda and so on. The living environment is made out of pendulums. Therefore, you will find competition in every possible domain of modern living. Oh, thank you so much for follow. Good night. Yeah, it's the same. Thank you for being here. You are awesome person. You just teach me a lot. Actually, I will apply this knowledge in the future. Thank you so much. I'm literally like, honestly, appreciate your help. Thank you so much. Good night. Now I will have less stress, to be honest, like, because you've been watching me and like I was felt like under control. Now I can just relax a little bit and read much easier. Right after wars and revolution follow as a form of battle that may be less aggressive but which are severe nonetheless. Examples of such battles are the struggle for market domination, the rivalry of political parties, economic competition, all possible forms of marketing, advertising campaigns, ideological propaganda, and so on. The living environment is made out of pendulum, therefore you will find competition in every possible domain of modern living. There is competition everywhere on all possible levels, starting with political and governmental disputes, and ending with competition between clubs and among single individuals. The new where it is there competition everywhere on all possible levels, starting with political and governmental disputes and ending with competition between clubs and among single individuals. The new, the unusual, the uncomprehendable always paves its way with difficulty. Always paves. I have no idea what the paves mean. Paves. Всегда с трудом. Always paves.
Paves.
Like it is something that means hard. Very tough, very hard to its way with difficulty. Always paves its way with difficulty. Why is that? It is simply because new concepts take time to settle in our head. That was a question. It is simply because new concepts take time to settle in our head. The main reason is that the old pendulum would be at a loss if a new pendulum and another rival would enter the stage and start dragging people toward him. For instance, internal combustion. Internal combustion. Engines make a significant contribution. Brr. Combustion. It is something like what was set on fire.
Combustion. Engines.
Internal combustion engine.
Internal.
It is like, it is a stuff which every car has. Engine. Internal. Combustion. Engine make a significant contribution to pollution in the cities, and they could have been replaced a long time ago. After all, many alternative and pollution-free engines have been developed throughout the years and should be used instead. However, this would be a threat to the existing pendulum of oil corporation, and these are still very strong. Therefore, they won't allow some investors to take them off the stage. So it comes down to that these monstrous pendulums, which represent large oil corporation, are literally, finally I met with this world in real life. It is not only me using this, literally buying up patents of alternative engines only to keep them secret. At the same time, they are trying to convince the world of the low efficiency. At the same time, they are trying to convince the world of the low efficiency of these new inventions. When building their structure on the material plane, pendulums strengthen
Strengthen.
Strengthen. Pendulums strengthen their position with financial means, buildings, equipments, and of course with human resources. At the top of these human pyramids,
Pyramids.
pendulums play their favorites. These are leaders of all ranks and functions. Anyone who play their favorites, there is leaders of ranks and function. Anyone from junior managers to presidents of governments. That's it. They do not have to possess any special or outstanding qualities at all. Usually, those adherents are made leaders whose combination of traits fits perfectly within the pendulum structure. The chosen favorite may believe that he has achieved great things in life only because of his personal qualities. It is true, but only to a certain degree. The self-organizing structure of the pendulum plays the greatest role in promoting its favorites. If the parameters of traits of the favorite no longer correspond to the needs of the system, then the favorite will be removed with no regards for his welfare. The battle of the pendulum is destructive for their adherents because as they are serving a higher goal, they think that they are doing it because they really believe in it. Personal beliefs of adherents tends to be in the tight grip of a pendulum. As soon as a person tunes into the pendulum's frequency, tunes into the pendulum's frequency, an interaction takes place on the energy level between him and the pendulum. The frequency of an adherent's thought energy is fixed and maintained by the pendulum's own energy. The person is now trapped in the feedback loop. The person is now trapped in a feedback loop. Feedback. What feedback mean? Like teleported? Feedback. Yeah, and I did play in StarCraft, and there is like unit in the Protoss race which might do feedback, and in that meaning that was like teleporting. Feedback. Feedback. For example, when you buy a goods, the seller asks you to leave a feedback. Feedback loop. The adherence transmits thought energy on the pendulum's frequency, while the pendulum is torn, grant a little bit of energy to the adherent as to maintain the pendulum influence over the person. On the level of material realization, such pendulum adherent interaction can be seen in everyday life situation. For example, the pendulum of a political party starts an election campaign, catches onto an adherent and feeds him with a little energy delivered in the shape of good feelings such as appreciation, satisfaction, dignity, and importance. The adherent believes that he has the situation under control and that he can make his own choice. But as a matter of fact, he was chosen by the pendulum that now has control over him. On the surface, however, this situation has a different appearance. The adherent believes that he is doing what he wants to do. Nevertheless, in the case, the adherent will has been invisibly. What? The adherent will has been invisibly and artificially forced upon him by the pendulum. The adherent is thus placed in the pendulum's information field, where he is spending time with others like him, discussing, no, disgusting it is if you're not pleased with something, right? Discussing hot topics and so on. In that way, the adherent established energy connection with the pendulum and fixes his own energy within the structure. Eventually, the adherent may realize that the pendulum activities does not live up to his expectation, не соответствует, does not live up. Eventually, the adherent may realize that the pendulum activity does not live up to his expectations. So he starts to resent or doubt his former idol, and thus his frequency slips out of the pendulum's grip. Slips out. So he starts to resent or doubt his formed idol. Former. His former idol. Idol or idol?
Idol.
And thus his frequency slips out of the pendulum's grip. The tightness of the pendulum's grip depends. The tightness of the pendulum's grip depends on how powerful the pendulum is. In some cases, the pendulum will simply allow its adherent to leave, while in other cases, such a heretic will be deprived of his freedom or even his life. Deprive, лишать, heretic, I don't know what it means. Heretic. Such a heretic will be deprived of his freedom or even his life. Heretic. How a pendulum traps the frequency of its adherents can be illustrated by the following example. Say you are singing to yourself. La la la. Then all of the sudden somebody starts playing a different song on high volume. Bastard. So as you are hearing this new melody, it will be very difficult for you to continue singing your song to yourself. For the purpose of transurfing, the specific details behind the interaction process between a pendulum and his adherents are not important. We will investigate this interaction using a simplified model and everyday situation as example. Simplified, like make it easier. Yeah, simplified model and everyday situation as example. This will be quite sufficient for our purposes. Nobody will be able to explain to us in great detail and with a high degree of accuracy how things really happen, because then one could ask the question, and what does really actually mean, or really, or really probably.
Really.
What does really actually mean? And this discussion could go on forever. Just like the infinite process of acquiring knowledge. It is an unrewarding task altogether, so we will have to settle for something smaller. We should be happy that we are nonetheless capable of understanding at least something. Now let's see how pendulum manipulate their adherents. Puppet strings, or puppet. Like an animal, right?
Puppet.
Somebody who is under control. Puppet, marionette. Motion dummy. Figurehead.
Puppet.
Puppet strings. Puppet strings. Give me half second to check. Okay, puppet strings. Let's ask ourselves a question. How can pendulum force their adherents to freely give up their energy? Big and powerful pendulum can, for example, force their adherents to act according to specific rules. But how do weaker pendulum do it? When a person doesn't have any power to force another to do something, he presents valid probably. He represents a valid argument. Validation.
Valid.
Represent argument.
Argument.
He presents valid argument and tries to convince and pursue the other person by promising a desirable outcome. These are all already the weak methods of persuasion. Like pursuing it, like it is a following by someone. Like if you are trying to get out of the person and someone is pursuing you. Persuasion. No. What? Convince. Belief. Conviction. Persuasion. Method of persuasion. Where it is like persuasion word in here? Persuasion. The action or fact of pursuing someone or of being pursued to do or believe something. Monica needed plenty of persuasion before she actually left.
Persuasion.
Бля.
Persuasion.
Persuasion. These are all rather weak methods of persuasion that can only be found in a human society where people are removed from the forces of nature. Pendulum also use this method sometimes, but they have a weapon that is much more powerful than that. Pendulum are energy-based information structure, therefore they are both powerful and indisputable laws of existence and act in accordance with this. In order for a person to give away his energy to a pendulum, his thought energy must be of the same frequency as the pendulum's resonance frequency. For this to happen, it is not necessary. It is not necessary. It is not necessary. Persuasion. Necessary. My God. Necessary. For this to happen, it is not necessary for a person to consciously direct his thoughts toward the pendulum. As you probably know, a great deal of what people think and do happens unconsciously. And this particular property of the human mind is what pendulum often take advantage of, hence. Take advantage of. Hence, pendulum manage to get energy not only from their adherents, but also from their most enthusiastic opponents. You can probably guess by now how that works. Imagine a group of elderly sitting on a park bench, complaining and criticizing their government. They are not adherents of the government's pendulum, because they hate the government for many reasons. But what is happening? The elderly are cursing, like curse, проклинать, cursing, cursing. The elderly are cursing. The elderly are cursing the government, saying how incompetent, corrupt, cynical, and stupid it is. So, what they are actually doing is that they are producing a lot of thought energy at the frequency of this pendulum. To be honest, the pendulum could not care less from which side you push it to make it swing. Both positive and negative energy will do. As long as the frequency of a person's thought energy is resonant with the pendulum's frequency. Resonate. Резонировать. Resonant. Will do. As long as the frequency of a person's thought energy is resonant with the pendulum frequency. Thus, a pendulum's biggest problem is to get to people Донести, like to explain, is to get to people, добраться до людей, is to get to people, is to get to. Добраться is to get to people, to hit them where it hurts in whatever may possible, as long as the pendulum or anything related to it occupies their mind. Thus, pendulum biggest problem is to get to people, to hit them where it hurts, in whatever ways possible, as long as a pendulum or anything related to it occupy their mind. Once the concept of mass media was developed, the methods of pendulum have become increasingly refined. People become quite addicted to mass media. Have you noticed how they mostly mention bad things in the news? These programs give rise to strong emotions like agitation, fear, irritation, anger, and envy. It is the journalist's job to attract your attention. The means of mass media, mass or mass, man, it is.
Mass. Mass. Mass.
Mass media, being pendulums themselves, the means of mass media, being pendulum themselves, are serving pendulums that are even more powerful. The supposed purpose is free access to any information. The actual purpose is quite different. It is to tune in as many people as possible to the frequencies of specific pendulums. One of pendulum's most favorite methods of getting access to your energy is to get you off balance. Once a pendulum's most favorite methods of getting access to your energy is to get you off balance. If you are off balance, you begin to swing on the frequency of the pendulum. By so doing, you will be swinging the pendulum itself. Let's suppose that the prices have gone up. You don't like it. Gone up. The price has gone up, like increased in value. Gone up. That the prices have gone up. You don't like it, so you react in a negative way. You would feel annoyed and you would probably complain and talk about it with your friends, and that would be a perfect normal reaction. But this is exactly what the pendulums want. You are radiating negative energy at the pendulum's frequency into the world. The pendulums will harvest this energy, which will only make the pendulum swings higher, resulting in the situation with the prices getting increasingly worse in the real world. At this point, the pendulum is controlling you like a puppeteer, or puppy is controlling its puppet. Puppet. Кукловод.
Puppeteer.
Cuckold.
Puppeteer. Puppeteer.
Puppeteer is controlling its puppet. Puppeteer.
Puppeteer.
Puppeteer is controlling its puppet, and the firmest string to pull you by is fear. And the firmest firm. Firmest.
Firm.
Hey, can you just say this word completely, like fully, entirely?
Firm.
Firmest. It doesn't want to say like this word. Firmest. And the firmest. 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 String to pull up by is fear. Like the most прочная. Lasting, strong, durable, solid, firm, rugged, solid. Having a solid, almost unyielding surface or structure. Firmest, like most strong. Steadfast, rigid, solid. Firmest string to pull you by is fear. The most ancient and strongest feeling there is. It does not really matter what it is you are afraid of exactly, but if your fear is somehow connected to an aspect of the pendulum will get your energy. Anxiety and being nervous are somewhat weaker threats, черты, but they are nonetheless strong enough to pull it and get you jumping. These feelings are very good at fixating thought energy radiation on a pendulum's frequency. If something is bothering you, it would be hard for you to get out mind of it. It would be hard for you to get out mind of it and focus on something entirely different. Feeling guilty would be another very efficient way for a pendulum to pump energy out of you. Feelings of guilt are forced on us already. In our childhood, it is a very convenient method of manipulation. If you are guilty, then you have to do as I tell you. It is very unpleasant to live with guilt, and therefore people try to get rid of these feelings. But how? You redeem your fault by either accepting your punishment or working off your debt. Both alternatives
Alternative.
My god, man. Alternatives. All turn, like all turn around, like everybody turn around. Alternatives. Both alternatives imply submission. Imply подразумевает, like mean подчинение. Both submission. Alternatives. Предлагают.
Imply.
Подразумевает mean, imply, involve, infer, submission. Alternative. Both alternatives imply submission, obedience, and a specific way of thinking. Obedience. Submission and obedience. Послушание. Obedience. Послушание. Obedience and a specific way of thinking. Once again, where it is. Your punishment of working off your debt. Both alternative imply submission, obedience. Послушание. And a specific way of thinking. The Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. The Call of Duty is a particular form of guilt. To have a duty means that one is obligated to do something. As a result, the guilty, both the true ones and the ones that are made to believe that they are guilty, are walking around with their heads hanging, bringing the pendulum their energy on a plate, inducing feelings of guilt by suggestion is the most favorable weapon of manipulation, and we shall return to it at a later point in this book. And we shall return to it at a later point in this book. As possible human psychological complexes
Complex.
Didn't say it with a sound in the ending. Complexes should be noted in particular. The inferiority, inferiority комплекс неполноценный. Inferiority. Complex. The inferiority.
Inferiority.
The inferiority complex. Inferiority. Like Infi, it is a man who plays StarCraft at a very high level. Inferiority. Complex. Inferiority. The inferiority complex. I am not attractive. I don't have any abilities or talents. I'm not particularly bright or clever. I don't know how to communicate with people or how to be around them. I'm not worth, etc. The complex of guilt. I'm guilty of something. Everyone is judging me, and I have to bear my cross. The warrior complex. Hello. Schaller, 1976, from Germany. Hello. How is it going? Just trying to get some education here, but my brain already don't want to take any information. But it is, by the way, nice for pronunciation. It doesn't matter if I remember this information. It's just okay for me to pronounce all these words. So mechanical movements. Where are you from? Russia. We've been met together back days. in unpleasant situation, and we met again. My grandpa was fighting in the Soviet Union, so there. That's what I meant. I didn't want to force it, to say it out loud. True. The only stuff I know in German, Hände hoch, Russian Schweine. He was in the Waffen SS. I barely know history, to be honest. When I was in school, I didn't care about my education at all. And the history is the one subject which might be changed by the government and the people who want to show you different information. Special force? Waffen SS. Yeah. So that's why I even back days understood like to learn history is make no sense for me, because it is most of the time it is a tale, fairy tale. The people like change it. How the you like history? It is just okay to read if you will take into account the stuff. It's probably not true. Just read it as a fantasy story. I know much about my country. That's nice. But I'm pretty sure the information which were 100, even 100 years ago already is not that clear. And from the origin source, it might change a lot. It depends on the government where you live and which information they want to show to you. That's actually probably this book is about too, about the pendulums and how they affect the people. If they need to make another people fight against the other people, they might just change some information in the book and put a thought into your head that like other country is bad and like they was aggressive or something. Like it might be not true. Or they just distortioned the fact of it, and it is not 100% true. I know much about my country, but still many things are right. It is right probably by now, but in 100 years it might be absolutely different story. But I'm okay with it. Like, I consider the history as a book, like a fantasy book, mostly, especially when it is like back days ago. My grandpa, my grandpa was fighting. Yeah. Oh, so chilling now. But still many things are right. Yeah, it's probably true. Oh. You just did relax me a little bit from the book. This year, A100 University of German Unification University. Unification. Объединение.
Unification.
Unification. With who you were unified? I'm telling you, I like completely have no any knowledge about the Germany, and if it is very colony, for example, like, and you united with some other peoples, like, and it is became one huge country as and start calling or named the Germany now, I just don't know. Of German unification, unificating with who? The process of being united or made into a whole. The cost of German unification. The cost of German unification. The North German Confederation under Prussia defeated France and proclaimed the German Empire. Oh my god. And so united with the southern states. Confederation under Prussia defeat France? Proclaim the German Empire? With Tauser states. Yeah, feels bad for French probably at that period of time. The war is suck actually, all this suppression stuff, killing people who absolutely didn't want to die, and probably they have no interest in all these wars and stuff. Mostly it is just people who rule the country want to get some benefits. People are not care about it because they probably have enough source in own country, and that's enough to live wealthy and happy life. But the government thinks other way, and they decided to, we need more territory and we need to suppress someone, to kill, to say others that how great we are. But these wars were important for one Germany. We can change history, okay? It's okay. What done, that is done. What have been done, that is done. I'm just wondering if there is no war between German and the Russia, Soviet Union, how much more it will, I don't know, affect nowadays life with that amount of the people who died, if at this moment everyone were survived. Will the Russia like be better place this day, or this might be the same or even worse? I don't know. It is interesting to watch, but I'm okay with how it is going right now. Actually, like, the Russia is not a bad place to live if you have money, because you may fix a lot of problems using the money. It is not all the country give you this opportunity. For example, especially when you need to give somebody money to some guys close eyes for stuff you've been doing. I don't like government here. We don't like the Russian government here. But this war were important. After that, Germany was 50 years in peace. This is very hot topic, and this is probably not the nice place to discuss it. It might change our opinions about each other. Like, it was in 1971. Yeah, okay. I see you literally good when it comes to history. I'm talking about the Franco-German War, not the Soviet-German War. Okay, all this stuff affects. I'm pretty sure, like, in the future, all the governments, like all the wealthy people, like in the far future, when the technology going to be at the so high level, and people might live longer, like use some chips in the head, you know, like, which will give you advantage in thinking, all the stuff. And if you will live longer, the government, most healthy people will try to deduce, like, make the amount of the people who is not wealthy, like the only elite, only rich people will live. Germany is trying that. RN, I don't know what RN mean. Right now, okay. Germany is trying that right now. No, right now it's very hard to do. They probably might do this by, like, creating literally like viruses on all the stuff. If we would dive into this topic, like, it might be true. We don't know. This might be they trying to kill like older people, so not to pay them their money. Like pension payments, yeah, pension payments. So that's how they trying to like reduce the amount of the old people, because they don't need it. They are not useful for the countries. On the other side, they are buying all the medicine stuff, so probably they also like bring some money into... that's probably how it works actually. The government is paying the pensions payments to the older people, and because they are unhealthy, they bring the money back into the system by buying the medicine goods. We got a very good system here right now. I can say the same about like our country. If we won't change the government, we have no chance to do it actually, because we have the same president like already for how long, and all these political parties which rules and create all new laws all the time the same. Even if like nobody in my society is taking votes for that specific party. Parties, probably United Russia Party. Like in that party, they still win all the time. Like it doesn't matter if you even were voting against them, they still have a huge number of person who, because they have it under the control, all the medicine, educational system, policemen, army is forced by, when it's time to vote, the government force them to vote in specific party. A person pays in a pension cast, and then when he goes into pension he can take the money he saved, but they don't need it. The government better to keep this money, like use a person as a like a корова, like ков. Milch cow.
Milch.
Cow. Milch cow. Like until you young, you bring benefits to your government, and you like put some money aside. They might use this money to buy properties or just to give money and other people for the benefits, and you don't use this money. And when it is time to use it, they just don't want to give you it back. It is better you die and let the other young men take place in that social stuff. Sometimes like that can happen in Germany. Something like that can't happen in Germany. I'm telling you, I'm not judging my government. I'm okay with it, but even telling you opposite stuff. If you have like a lot of money, it is probably the Russia is the best place to live, because you might fix your problem just giving other people's money, so they will close the eyes on your bad habits, you know. Like if you, there is even some people who might kill someone and somehow like be here, like be not in the cage, be not in the jail. That is like might be happening. I'm pretty sure it is hard to imagine in nowadays Germany or America, Canada, New York or something like that. So I don't understand how we got actually to this point in our discussion about the wars, and now what we are discussing. That was strange. they can't use this money. There's a difference. And like for next decades, it might be no changes here when it comes to this topic. Until people are greedy and you have like a gaps in the laws, like the empty spaces and place to maneuver there, people will use it. This is in our mentality already. Like, it is not bad, it is not good. People just adapt here to this nature, to this inner system. And until it works, we gonna use it. I'm not telling about myself because I'm not that rich to manipulate the law. But people who can afford it or allow it, they actually all the time use these benefits, all these options. So, not judging, just telling as it is. This is what I see living here like for 32 years. So let's just continue reading about the pendulums and how bad they are. Where have I been stopped? Any abilities or talents I'm not particularly bring to clever. I don't know how to communicate with people or how to around them. I've been reading this. I'm not forced, it said there is a complex of guilt. I'm guilty of something. Everyone is judging me and I have to bear my cross. The warrior complex. I have to be cool. I declare war on myself and on everybody else. I will fight for my place under the sun. I will take what is mine by force. The truth or true. My brain already like melted a little bit, and even the word which I'm already been seen for zillion times. Truth, правда, yeah. The truth lover. Complex. I will show that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Whatever it takes. There and other complex are personal keys to the where it is. Other complex and personal keys to the energy of separate individuals. A pendulum by hitting on a vulnerable spot. A pendulum by hitting on a vulnerable spot is zealously pumping the energy out of this person. I swear to God, for the first time in my life I see this word like zealously. Zealously. It is probably a very rare word. Zealously. What about like a unit in StarCraft? Like there is a zealot. Like Z-A-lot. Fanatic. Zealot. Zealot? Zealously, усердно, pumping the energy out of this person. You can continue naming the strings by which the pendulum controls their puppets. Justice, pride, vanity, honor, love, hate, greed, generosity, щедрость, generosity, curiosity, interest, hunger, as well as other feelings and needs. You feeling an interest, your feeling and interest allow the flow of thoughts to be fixed in one direction. If a particular subject doesn't provoke any interest or emotions, then it is very hard to focus on it. Therefore, pendulum are able to capture the flow of thoughts by pressing the right buttons like particular feelings, like the particular feelings and needs of a specific person. As a rule, people have a standard.
Standard.
What?
Standard. 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 Standard.
Standard.
Standard.
Standard. As a rule, people have a standard. Standard.
Standard.
Standard. As a rule, people have a standard. Standard. Way of reacting to negative external sources of irritation. Negative news provokes discontent. Discontent. Недовольство. Discontent. Discontent. Alarming news provoke a reaction of worry or fear. Having been offended provokes dislikes and so on. Habits functions at the switch that set the mechanism or capture emotions. For example, the habit of getting irritated or worried with little cause is the same as reacting to provocation. Basically, it is the same as reacting negatively to a negative source of irritation. A person could be aware of the fact that negative thoughts and actions won't lead to anything good. However, he would still make the same mistakes out of habit. In this way, habits often create problems and force us to act indifferently, and yet they are confident to get rid of. Habits are illusions of comfort. One has more truth in what is familiar. Anything new causes worry and fear. The old and familiar has already been proven to work through experience. It is like an old armchair in which you sit down to relax after work. Maybe a new one would be better, but the old one is more comfortable. Comfort is characterized Comfort is characterized. Comfort is characterized by such concept as convenience, trust, positive experience, and predictability. Trust, positive experience, and predictability. New things possess these qualities. To a much lower degree. To be possessed, like possession, like somebody's body is possessed by the devil, but possess, содержит, внедрено, possess. Обладают, what? Обладать, владеть, овладать. Have a belonging to one own. I do not possess a television set. New things possess these qualities to a much lower degree. Thus, it takes a lot of time for a new habit to turn into an old one. We have looked at the methods of influence that pendulums use on people. Can a man escape from the influence of a pendulum? We will be talking about methods of escape further on. Still, it often happens that someone stands up to the pendulum that has enslaved him and openly opposes it. Enslaved him and openly opposes it. Pendulum that has enslaved him and openly opposes it. Oppose. Opposite. It is different. Like be against. Opposes. Pendulum that is enslaved him and openly opposes it. In any battle between a man and a pendulum, the man will always suffer and defeat. A pendulum can only be defeated by other pendulum. One man cannot do anything. If a man is no longer obeying the pendulum and he gets into a fight with it, he will only lose energy. In the best case, the man will be thrown out of the system, while the worst case, he will be crushed. An adherent that had the guts to break the rules set by the pendulum will be proclaimed an outlaw. Proclaimed an outlaw. On the surface of the real world, the man will be convinced or condemned for this action. Condemned. Презрение, condemnation. Will be convinced. Will be convinced or condemned to this action. For his action. Будет осужден. Convinced. Condemned. In reality, it is not the man's action that makes him guilty, but rather the fact that he has gone out of control and is no longer a source of energy for the pendulum. Why is it that a fault confessed is half redressed? It's some kind of like expression of yours, right? A fault confess is half redressed.
Confess. Redressed. Redressed.
A fault confessed is half redressed. Because the man who accepts the feelings of guilt is completely ready to submit himself to the pendulum's rule. For the pendulum, the actual remorse of the adherents, раскаяние,
remorse,
deep regret or guilt for wrong committed,
remorse,
раскаяние, remorse. The actual remorse of the adherent for the act committed doesn't mean anything. Only the restored restored control over the adherent is of any importance. The pendulum will immediately be much nicer to you if you give it the opportunity to manipulate you, and if the guilty one does not submit to the pendulum, then he can be removed, because this is nothing more to gain from him. The true motives or motives true motives of the pendulum are usually wild by normal principle. Wild. Завуалированные, like hidden sense, no? So, disguised, masked. In disguise. Wearing or covered by a veil. Veiled by moral principle. Завуалированный. Veiled by moral principle. Saying that a person that has shown remorse is not such an evil person after all. You can easily distinguish whether moral principle are at work or the interests of the system have been infrighted upon. Like integrated or what? Ущемлены, infringed break, disturb. Interest of system have been infringed upon. If you only keep in mind what pendulums looks like and what their true goals are. Guys, on this beautiful note, I will take a little break. I just need to eat and exercise. I don't want to lose my form because of my nowadays activity. I just sit and do not spend physical energy but actually, like, reading consume a lot of energy, to be honest. Probably it is just because I'm not get used to the load like this one, and in the future my brain will adapt and it might be much more easier for me to spend like 3 hours. It's almost 4 hours in a row we just been reading and communicating. Guys, I just need to eat a little bit, then exercise, then I will take a little break, and after that I will turn the stream on again and we will play Battlefield 2042. So if you want to participate this activity like a little bit later, then consider the situation, like consider the following on the channel, because now I'm going to be much more stable and try to stream every day. Probably might be one day in a week where I will have no stream at all, but mostly I will try to be more stable this time. So I just will keep you with the music for 5 minutes and then I will stop.